Hello everyone, Happy New Year. My name is Greg Friedman. I'm the director of the International Admission Office at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. This is our Ask Us Anything Instagram live session. I'm just going to wait just a moment or two for a couple other people to join us, but thank you for joining us in the new year. As I mentioned, for those of you who are just joining, my name is Greg Friedman. I'm the director of the International Admission Office here at MCPHS. Again, this is our Ask Us Anything, so true to the name. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about MCPHS, about the admission process, about timelines, about next steps, scholarships, programs, pretty much anything that you guys can think of. And even though my role at the university is overseeing the International Admission Office and the application process for international students, I'm happy to answer questions for any student, whether you are a U.S. citizen or an international student. So please don't hesitate, I should say, to ask any question that you may have. So fire away and let me know how I can help. See a lot of people just joining, so while maybe you're thinking of some questions, I just want to point out that we do have a couple of events on campus that are going to be coming up over the next few weeks. We have our spring open house events, as well as our admitted student events that are going to be happening in the month of January. We've got one in February, one in March, and then another one in April. So if you've not yet completed your application, I do very much encourage you to do that as soon as possible, so you can join us hopefully at one of our admitted student events this spring. I see a question about the dental hygiene acceptance rate. Good question. I don't have exact percentages for that program specifically. What I can share is generally overall as a university, our average acceptance rate hovers somewhere in the high 70s. We are not a highly selective university, like a Harvard or a Johns Hopkins. We do certainly have standards, of course, but what I find is that the majority of the students who apply to MCPHS, because of the nature of our school, tend to come in with pretty high science and math grades, which are what you need to be successful not only in dental hygiene, but really in any of the programs that we offer at MCPHS. So if you're strong in biology, chemistry, and math, you can usually feel pretty confident about your chances of admission. But again, overall for the university, usually in the high 70s in terms of percentage. Good question. Yeah, so for those of you who are just joining, again, this is our Ask Us Anything session, so please do let me know how I can help you. Any question is perfectly okay, and I'll do my best to answer. If there is a question I can't answer, I'll do my best to direct you to the appropriate resource. I see a question about how much financial aid can you get as a first-generation college student from India. So that's not something I'd be able to answer individually. If you are a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you are eligible to fill out what's called the FAFSA, which is the Free Federal Financial Aid Program in the United States. So filling that out would help to determine how much you are eligible for. You may also be eligible for academic scholarships. The best thing to do is to contact your individual admission counselor at MCPHS. We can set up a time to talk with you one-on-one and do our best to answer any questions specific to your academic background and your financial background. Let's see, I see a question about full scholarship, students from Africa. Unfortunately, at MCPHS, we do not offer full scholarships. We do offer limited partial academic merit-based scholarships, but we do not offer full scholarships. So unfortunately, if you are looking for a full scholarship, MCPHS probably would not be the right fit. If you are able to partially fund and you're interested in exploring partial scholarships, like I mentioned before, please do reach out to us. We can connect you with your individual admission counselor. If you're not sure who to reach out to, go ahead and email us at admission@mcphs.edu, and we'll connect you with your individual admission counselor. I have a question about the physician assistant pathway. Yeah, so the physician assistant pathway is a 6-year integrated pathway program. It's basically what we call a 3+3. So you would do 3 years of your bachelor's degree in pre-medical health studies. We shorten that to pre-med, followed by 3 years of your Master of Physician Assistant studies. And so you would have to reapply following your 3rd year. You would get instructions and support throughout the pre-med program about how to do that. And we do give significant preference to the students who are coming through our bachelor's degree. So I can share that, students who apply to our master's degree program of physician assistant studies without doing the bachelor's degree at MCPHS, usually the admission rate is around 5 or maybe 10%. It's quite low. But if you are coming in through the pathway program, the chances are quite a bit higher. And again, we do try to reserve seats as much as possible for our own students. So 6 years in total, reapplying after your third year. Again, if you'd like to discuss more, feel free to reach out to us at admission.mcphs.edu, and we'll connect you with an individual admission counselor. I see some questions about timeline. When does the fall 26 semester begin? Good question. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact date. I believe it's something like Wednesday, September 2nd, I believe, is the first day of classes in fall 2026. But it's usually that first week following Labor Day in September. And you can expect also that your orientation program, if you are a U.S. citizen, we do have a few different orientation programs you can choose, usually in either June or July. And then also there is one a couple of days before the start of classes at the end of August, probably around August 28th or August 29th, I believe, followed by classes starting the first day after Labor Day. Let's see, when is the deadline for FAFSA for pharmacy school? So there's no hard deadline, so you can submit the FAFSA at any point. I always do encourage you to do that as early as you possibly can. The earlier you do, the earlier you'll be able to get your financial aid package out, and we'll be able to have conversations about your individual financial situation to explore any other aid options that may be available either through the university or outside as well. So definitely look to do that as soon as you possibly can. And it is open now. Maximum scholarship. So the maximum scholarship will vary a little bit depending on program and location, but generally speaking, our maximum scholarship goes up to around $23,000 US. General tuition for 2026-2027. Good question. So the 2026-2027 tuition rate has not yet been posted. I can share that the tuition rates that are on the website are the current year for the fall 2025-2026 academic year. So if you go to the MCPHS website, you check out the tuition section, you will find that listed. I believe the current number is about $41,000 and change for most four-year bachelor's degrees. Keep in mind, if you're in an accelerated program, it'll be a little bit different. If you're in a graduate program, it'll be a little bit different. But if you're looking at a four-year bachelor's degree this year, the tuition rate is a little over $41,000. However, since you're asking about 2026, 2027, do keep in mind that the tuition rate is subject to change from year to year. It usually doesn't increase by a huge amount, but it could increase by around maybe 3 or 4%. So best to kind of build in that 3 to 4% increase to that number that you see on the website. But the updated tuition rate should be posted sometime this spring, probably in February or March. I see a question about somebody who has been accepted. So first of all, congratulations on being admitted. You've got a question about your scholarship. Yeah, no problem. So the best thing to do is contact the admission office. You can reach out to the general inbox, which is admission with no S, so just admission@mcphs.edu. And we will go ahead and connect you with your individual admission counselor, and we can arrange a phone call or a time to meet in person if you're local to discuss your scholarship and any other financial questions that you may have. I see a question about timeline. What's taking so long with the application? So it depends on when you applied. I see if you applied regular decision. So regular decision is usually the deadline for that is February 1st. So if you applied early, you would have already received your admission result prior to the winter holiday break. If you applied regular decision, those decisions should be coming out this month at some point, leading into the end of January and also into early February. So we do process them on a rolling basis. Keep in mind that the university was closed for about 2 weeks for the winter holiday break. We just came back to the office this week on Monday, so it's only our fourth day back after the holiday break. So it will take a little bit of time to get caught up. We do have a large application volume, but bear with us. Your application should be processed as quickly as we can. And again, you can expect that probably within the next several weeks. If you still haven't received it after another 2 or 3 weeks, feel free to reach out to us. Again, the admission email is admission.mcphs.edu. Sorry, admission.mcphs. admission@mcphs.edu. Sorry, a little bit of a brain fart. How much is the sonography program, the bachelor's degree tuition? So that's on the website as well. That will be under the accelerated format. So I don't have the number off the top of my head. Actually, I can Google it really quick. Let's see. Just tuition. So the accelerated tuition for the 25-26 year is $59,580. But keep in mind, as I mentioned for the earlier question about tuition, that this number is for the 2025-2026 year. It is expected to increase for 2026-2027. So you can add around 3 or 4% if you want to get an estimate on that, or again, just contact your admission counselor and we can review with you in a little bit more detail. But around $60,000 is the accelerated format tuition. I should point out that the tuition rate for the accelerated program for sonography may sound high. Keep in mind it's a 3-year accelerated degree. So you're actually doing 3 semesters in year 1, 3 semesters in year 2, and then only 2 semesters in year 3, and then you would not have a 4th year. So it's a little bit front loaded, but the actual overall cost is going to be very similar to what a regular 4-year bachelor's degree would be. Let's see. I see a student about PA, physician assistant. So you applied to the PA program and you were pre-admitted to the RN to FNP bridge program, the registered nursing to family nurse practitioner bridge program. Yes, I can definitely share. So essentially what that means is it looks like you were probably not selected for admission into the physician assistant program, but academically, it looks like you would be a good fit for that program. So going to be into our accelerated registered nursing program, the accelerated BSN, followed by the option to go into our Masters of Family Nurse Practitioner. So that's something that you would just need to indicate your interest. We can use your same application materials that you submitted as a part of your physician assistant program. So the admission process would be a little bit quicker and a little bit smoother. So I would just encourage you, if that's something you're interested in, or if you just want to discuss and learn a little bit more about it, just go ahead and reply to the email, reach out to the admission office, which again is admission@mcphs.edu. And we can go ahead and help you figure out how to go ahead and formally apply for that program and answer any other questions that you may have. I see a question, can I get into Harvard Medical School after completing MCPHS? Well, anything absolutely is possible. I cannot give you or any student an individual guarantee about your chances of getting into Harvard Medical School. Of course, as I'm sure you can probably imagine, getting into Harvard Medical School is tough, but absolutely it is possible. You know, going through the MCPHS bachelor's degree, whether you're choosing pre-med or medical molecular biology or any of the wonderful bachelor's degree options, will absolutely prepare you to take the MCAT exam and apply to any medical school of your choosing. Do keep in mind that getting into medical school, not only, first of all, it is challenging, but more likely than not, medical schools are looking for students with a little bit more real-world experience as opposed to going right after the bachelor's degree. So I do see more success with students who have gone out of their bachelor's degree, worked for 2 or 3, 4 maybe years, and then are applying, you know, when they're a little bit older, maybe they're 25 or 26, have a little bit of real-world experience, potentially a master's degree as well under their belt before then applying on to medical school. But absolutely, it is possible. We see students going on to fantastic medical schools all the time, and Harvard absolutely would be an option. Just keep in mind, maybe challenging, and you may want to look at doing some work experience in between. But talk to our pre-med advisor when you're here on campus. We do have some wonderful postgraduate option advising, which includes both medical school and dental school, as well as professional programs like veterinary school or any other master's programs that you may be interested in as well. I see some questions about FAFSA. How long does the FAFSA package take to come in after you submit it to the school? That's a good question. That's something that would probably be best to talk with our Student Financial Services Office about. They can give you a little bit more of a detailed answer on timeline, but generally the packages should be coming out sometime in the spring, February, March, April, around that. Depends on when you've submitted it and if you are missing anything. But if you do have any specific questions, I would encourage you to reach out to our Student Financial Services Office. Their email address is SFS for Student Financial Services, SFS at mcphs.edu. I see an applicant who's interested in knowing if you can keep your application for next year. Unfortunately, no. So if you decide that you're no longer interested in pursuing an application for this year, you can let us know. We can go ahead and withdraw your application, and you would have to resubmit an application for next year. That being said, if you had previously submitted documents such as your transcripts and letters of recommendation and maybe any other items, you can reuse those. You wouldn't need to resubmit all of that, but you would need to resubmit the application form from the website so we can add your materials to that. So when you're ready to apply next year, let us know. We can help you out with the reapplication process. I see some questions about optometry. Student, you are a junior at UMB. I'm guessing that might be UMass Boston. Should you graduate and then apply for optometry, or should you transfer now? That's really a question that is a little bit more personal to you, and it's probably best to set up a time to talk with your individual admission counselor. It'll depend kind of on what your major is at UMB, what prerequisite courses you have taken, and so both options could be good options. Again, it really depends on that. So I would recommend that you get in touch with the admission office. We can schedule a time to review your situation course by course for the transcripts that you have at your university currently, and then we can make the best recommendation we can as to whether or not it makes sense to come now, or maybe finish your degree program there and apply directly for the doctorate program. So, as I mentioned earlier with a few other questions, go ahead and reach out to the admission office. It's admission@mcphs.edu, and we will connect you with your individual admission counselor and set up a time to get into more detail. Some housing questions. Yeah, do I know what are the housing options for transfer students? Yes, absolutely. So we do offer housing for transfer students as well as graduate students as well. So currently we do have 6 residential options on the Boston campus. 3 of them that are primarily reserved for first-year students, and then 3 of them that are generally reserved for upperclassmen, including transfer students. So the 3 options that are typically more available for transfer students would include Edwards Rogers. It would also include what is called the new building at Emmanuel, which name is escaping me. Hold on. Housing. It is called St. Julie Hall is the other option. And then finally, the Treehouse also sometimes may host some of our transfer students as well. So in short, yes, housing is available for transfer students. Generally, the earlier you enroll and the earlier you submit your housing deposit as well as your housing contract, the faster and the more reliably you'll be able to be placed in housing. So definitely set up a time to talk with your individual admission counselor, but the buildings I mentioned typically are available for transfer students. Some questions about admissions timeline. How long does it typically take to hear back about graduate programs? So every graduate program is a little bit different. It depends on which program you're applying to. Our graduate programs, typically the admission process does go through the department faculty. Generally, I would say about 4 weeks or so you can expect to hear back from most graduate programs. But if you want to know about your individual program circumstances, reach out to the admission office. Again, admission@mcphs.edu, and we can give you a kind of a better idea of timeline. Okay, I see some sophomores in high school, and you're interested in our 7-year medical pathway program. That's wonderful. I'm glad that you're starting early. Always good to start the process as early as you can. So, for something like that, if you are local, I would encourage you to come for a campus visit. We can show you around and talk to you a little bit in more detail about what that 7-year medical pathway is all about, including giving you some recommendations on courses to take while you're in high school. The program that you're talking about is our accelerated pathway with St. George's University, where you would do 3 years of your bachelor's degree with us, followed by 4 years of your Doctor of Medicine program with St. George's University. So if you're able to come visit, please do. If for some reason you can't, again, you can reach out to us at admission@mcphs.edu, and we can set up a time to talk with you individually over Zoom or over the phone and give you a little bit more details about that program. But as I mentioned, the first 3 years are with us in Boston at MCPHS, followed by 4 years at St. George's University in Grenada. Similar question I see, how long does the Bachelor's of Pre-Medical Health Studies program run? The standard program is usually 4 years, just like most bachelor's degree programs is 4 years. But kind of relating to the question before about our 7-year medical pathway, if you are coming through that or another similar pathway program, it may be 3 years. So the short answer is normally 4. It could be 3 if you're going through one of our pathway programs. Definitely reach out to your admission counselor. We can talk to you a little bit in more detail about what the different pathway options are and how those would typically work. See some academic questions. Is having a B average in your science classes bad for MCPHS? No, not bad. I mean, obviously we would encourage you to, do as well as you possibly can and take the highest level of academic rigor you can at your high school, particularly for science classes like chemistry, biology, and math. But no, a B average is not bad at all. That's average, and I think should, in most cases, prepare you well. Keep in mind that the level of science coursework at MCPHS is going to be a little bit more advanced than you did at high school, but we've got a lot of really good academic support to help you out. So no, B is not bad. I would encourage you to look for as many A's as you can, but having some B's is definitely not a bad thing. All right. Let's see. I see some international student questions, which is good since I'm the director of the International Admission Office. Questions about language proficiency. So as an international student, what level of language do you need to apply? I see you listed B1, B2, C1, C2. So that is a language system that we typically don't accept. So for English proficiency exams, we accept the TOEFL exam, the IELTS exam, Duolingo, the PTE, as well as the ITEP exam. Now, there may be other ways you can satisfy English proficiency as well. It will just depend on your native language as well as the curriculum of instruction from the school that you came to prior to MCPHS. But most international students will satisfy it by taking an English proficiency exam. But if you're not sure and you want questions about whether or not you qualify or whether or not an exam that you took qualified, again, reach out to us. You can reach out to me individually. My name is Greg Friedman. You can reach out to me, greg.friedman@mcphs.edu. Or again, just reach out to our general admission inbox, which is admission@mcphs.edu. We'll connect you either with myself or with one of our international admission counselors, and we'll review your individual circumstance and let you know how you can satisfy that requirement. All right, so I think we are just about time. I see a couple other quick questions. Is Duolingo okay for English proficiency? Yes, absolutely. We do accept the Duolingo exam. You can refer to the website for score requirements, but generally for most programs, you need a 115 or higher on the Duolingo exam. So that'll about do it for our Ask Us Anything session today. Thank you so much for joining us. We do host these regularly, so look out for notifications when we'll be hosting our next session. Otherwise, again, thank you for joining us in the new year. Happy belated New Year, and I hope I'll get a chance to see some of you around campus. Take care.